everyone and welcome back to Being Bethany. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking about 6 common misconceptions about anxiety and depression and my reaction to them and why I think it's important to talk about them and kind of debunk the myth. But before we get started, please hit that subscribe button, join the community of small steppers where we like to appreciate everyone for all the small steps that they're taking, and we like to talk about mental health in the hope that it destigmatizes it. So hit that subscribe button and try and be part of the first 100 crew, because we're not that far off, we're over halfway and I'm super grateful. But yeah, let's try and be our 100 crew, wouldn't that be cool? So what I wanted to do in this video is, through I guess my own personal experience, through things that I've seen online and doing some digging, I wanted to find some misconceptions about anxiety and depression, and I wanted to talk about them today and obviously offer my own experience. But I think what's really important about misconceptions is that we talk about them and we get our facts and opinions straight, because I think we're moving into an age now where we're trying to talk about mental health more, so there's not such a big stigma about it, and who best to talk about it really than the people who have suffered from it as well. So if you would like to add anything into the comments about things that people have said to you before or what people have assumed before about mental health, then please offer that down below as well. I'm going to be talking about anxiety and depression today mostly because those are the ones that I suffer from. So I wouldn't like to pick something else and try and talk about that because it wouldn't be from my own experience and that wouldn't be fair. But I really do want people to I guess have a community where we can talk about these things and try and educate other people into what we actually go through, so it becomes more discussed and talked about, and hopefully people won't feel so much shame and they'll be able to talk about it as well, which will hopefully help them. So yeah, let's get started. The first one is you can't be depressed because, and then enter in whatever phrase that you want. You can't be depressed because you have a loving family. You can't be depressed because you have a great career. You can't be depressed because you have lots of money. That's a common misconception about depression, and that's just not true. And I would like to think that in this day and age, we know that. I think everyone on a different scale will have issues with their mental health, and it's really important for everyone to look after their mental health. Again, that's what I'm liking seeing, I guess, in this world at the moment, is talking about looking after yourself and the importance not just on physical health, but on mental health as well. And also with anything, even depression, there is a spectrum. Some people have mild depression, some people have severe chronic depression. It is a spectrum. Just because you may seem to have everything in this world doesn't mean that the depression can't affect you. You don't know what that person is going through. You don't know what their upbringing is like. Sometimes it can be biological, so it can be to do with what's going on in the brain and chemicals, and not actually what's happening for circumstance. Sometimes it can be a combination of the two. I have a loving family. I have the best family in the world. But I still found myself being depressed through multiple times in my life. Yes, I can equate that probably to some big changes and some situations that happened in my life. But I had a loving family and I was at uni and I was supposed to be having the best time ever, and I wasn't. And I just think that when someone says that, what happens is that people feel like they then can't talk about it because they're being super ungrateful for their life, and that's really dangerous. Because what will happen is that means people will bottle things up and they feel like they can't talk about what they're feeling, and then it will make them also feel, with a statement like that you can't be feeling depressed because you seem to have everything. That person's then going to feel alone, feel like they're not normal for feeling those things, when actually if we take a step back and we go, anyone can fall victim to depression, and how are you feeling? Why do you feel like this? Regardless of what they have. Also, it could just be that you start to get depressed because you've got serious burnout. So it could be that you have a great career and a loving family and all these things, but you're juggling all these things. And sometimes that means that you overextend yourself or commit to long hours at work or try and be everything for everyone. And that's going to lead to burnout, which is then going to lead to severe stress, maybe lack of sleep, which can then lead to depression. So again, you can have all these things, but that might not actually help. And I would like to think that seeing celebrities come out with their stories about their own mental health as well, and sometimes with tragic scenarios, we know that by having everything doesn't mean that you're immune to depression. Okay, number 2. People with a mental illness can't hold down a job or maintain relationships. Now, with someone who suffers with anxiety and depression, I have a job and I'm in a 2-year relationship. So that's a really general statement to make. It can be trickier, I think, is the thing. It can be, but lots of things can be trickier because of different circumstances in your life. I don't think that having a mental illness means that you're unable to have things. It might just mean that you have to learn different ways of coping, whether that be therapy or techniques or medication, to help you out in day-to-day life. I can get through the majority of my shifts. Yes, do I have anxiety on my shifts? Yes, I do. But most of the time I'm able to push through and complete the day and do actually quite a lot of things that I have to get done, and I do that. With relationship, I've learned a lot about myself. I think anyone has to. I think that during university, the struggle with my mental illness and not really understanding people as well meant that I couldn't always maintain relationships, but I've done a lot of growing since then and a lot of learning, and I had to step out of my bubble and my comfort zone to learn all those things. And then I met Matt, and now we're in a really good relationship, and we were very honest and open with each other, and he knows that I struggle with these things, but it's my effort to try and work on myself. He works on himself. We come together and we just do the best that we can. So no, if you have a mental illness, well, especially anxiety and depression, like I said, I don't want to speak for anybody else's experience, but you can have a job and you can have a relationship. Like, I think that's very outdated thinking. So yes, that was number 2. Number 3, everything can be fixed with medication. Now, you guys know I'm not a doctor, I'm not a mental health expert, and I do not claim to be. People are different. I think for some people, medication works really well. I think for others, therapy works really well. And I think for myself, the combination of the two works really well. Now, I am not on medication anymore. I came off maybe nearly a year ago. But when I was on it, it really helped me. I was in the depths of depression, and I was on antidepressants, and I think they help your anxiety too, but I was in the depths, and I think without taking them, it would have been a lot harder. I think it gave me the step up that I needed. As my doctor said, it helped me to start to see the colours again, and when I was in that bit of a better position, I then was able to make changes to my life. I then reached out and had some counselling through my uni and outside of my uni as well. And then I think that definitely helped me. I think therapy and counselling was a big deal. I think it gave me the space to have my own voice. I think it gave me the confidence to talk through situations and really have my say and realise what I had done wrong and realise perhaps what other people had done wrong, and actually be able to say that for once. I was always a person that was people pleasing a lot, so I never really got my say. And then I decided to come off the medication, and I had a bit of a relapse and I went back on, and now I've come off again. When it comes to medication, you have to speak to your doctor about it, especially coming off as well. You know, you have to speak to them about what that process is like. Everything can be fixed with medication. I think that's too general a term. And I think with a lot of these misconceptions, they're too generalised. I think it can work for some. I think sometimes you need a combination of the both. I think it really depends on the person. And sometimes even just changing your habits. I did a video last week about habits that I want to change, you know, adding in meditation and really fixing your sleep. And all those things aren't medication, but they really, really help in helping your mental health and looking after your mental health. Number 4? I think we're on 4. Number 4. Depression and anxiety are a sign of personal weakness or laziness. I'm going to stop you right there, whoever says that. You couldn't be further from the truth. I would argue that dealing with a mental illness shows how strong you really are. That's not to say that people who don't have one aren't strong. We're all blimmin' strong, we're all blimmin' brave to be here with all the things that go on in this world. I really do think if you haven't had a mental illness, in particular depression, anxiety, you really can't know what that's like and the daily battles that people have to face and endure because of it. People don't talk about also the physical aspects of let's say, anxiety in particular. I need the toilet more often. I have hot and cold flushes all the time. I sweat, dry mouth, lack of sleep, and a constant feeling of butterflies in my chest. That's most of my days. I'd say there's more days with all those feelings than there are less, especially the feelings of butterflies in my chest. I feel like my body's in a constant stress mode, even if I don't look stressed. So to say that it's a sign of weakness when I try and push through those things, can't always, sometimes have bad days, and try and attack all my stuff, I think that's not fair. In terms of laziness, I had that a lot. I've had that a lot in my life. And I think sometimes it's fair because I can be quite lazy. I also think other times it was signs of my depression that people just thought were laziness, including, you know, friends and family, because I didn't really see it as a sign of depression. I think if I look back when I was younger, you know, yes, I'm a messy person, don't always clean my room, all that jazz. But I also think that's some clear indicators now of when I'm not doing too good. And that's not laziness, that's because I'm trying to just get through the day. I'm just trying to, it sounds extreme to say survive, but I guess that's kind of true. Again, physical factors. I was tired, I was exhausted, I had no energy. I then didn't eat that much because I was depressed. So actually physically I lost weight and I was kind of skin and bones at that point. Never let anyone tell you that depression or anxiety or your mental illness is a sign of personal weakness. It's a strength. And sometimes it can be our superpower, I think, because we're able to appreciate, I think, and be more in tune with what other people are going through, because we've had to go through stuff too. And my anxiety especially just means that I care and I want to do a good job. So it can be our superpower sometimes, I think. Number 5. People with anxiety should avoid stressful situations. Now, I can appreciate why some people might think that is the way to go. And sometimes it is, but actually it's not that practical. If I was to avoid every stressful situation, I wouldn't do anything. I think really what it's about is learning how to manage your anxiety. It's learning coping strategies, whether, like I said before, that's to do with medication or counselling or daily practices that you take in your life. I think that can be a negative side of my anxiety, is that I want to avoid lots of situations and I don't want to think about them. But I've learned in the past that doesn't actually help and it doesn't actually remove any anxiety. It kind of causes more anxiety because I've left things to the last minute and then realised I'm still going to do them because they're important to me, you know? So I've just kind of wasted time a bit. And also we're people and we can achieve the same things as other people as well. It might just take a lot more convincing to convince ourselves that we can do those things, but we can. Because we got this, dude. And finally, number 6. Talking about it only makes it worse. Now, I wanted to end on this one because I think this is a really dangerous misconception. I think people think that talking about your depression, your anxiety, your mental illness means that you focus on the negative. It means that you dwell on it. It means that you make it bigger than it needs to be in your life. And I think that's really dangerous. I think now we know from, unfortunately, there being a rise in suicide cases that talking about it does help. Reaching out to people does help. And actually, you're not dwelling on it, you're expressing how you're feeling, and that's so important. It's important to do that with the right people or the right support, so you get the understanding that you deserve. It's important to listen to people and understand how they're feeling, so they feel less alone, so they don't feel like they're the only person in the world that's going through this, which means that there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. They just need more support than perhaps you do at this moment. They need to be able to be in a safe space where they can talk about how they feel. Talking about it makes it better. There's the Samaritans link down below and the Mind charity link. But I know the Samaritans, you can call them and speak to people and talk about how you're feeling, or hopefully you can speak to a loved one. If someone as well, if you feel like they're talking about it a lot, that's just because they probably trust you and they're getting off their chest loads of things they've been keeping inside for a long time. They're not dwelling on it, they're working through it. And once they work through it, then they can get on the path to feeling better. That's why I wanted to talk about these misconceptions today. I think it's really dangerous for anything in life to assume that you know and to make really general statements. I think a lot of these are quite a general statement about things, and life isn't black or white. I hope that's been helpful. I hope perhaps that maybe has made you feel, again, less alone, or like we can talk about mental health more. I hope you find this a supportive channel, and know that I love you guys very much, and I think you're all doing a marvellous job, and you're awesome, you're amazing, you're enough, you're beautiful, you're all those lovely things. Be kind to your mind. I'm loving that phrase at the moment. That was my video this week. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and build this community of small steppers. I really would like to have this channel as hopefully doing a little bit of good in this world. That's my aim. That's what I would really like to do. So yes, I hope everyone is okay. I hope everyone has a lovely day. I hope everyone has a lovely week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye. Join the community of small steppers and help us get to 100. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Being Bethany. Now, for someone with a mental... Oh, it's very windy outside. I'm sorry to be distracted. It's snowing outside. That's interesting. Mambo number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody. I did such a chicken head then. Number 5. Look, I think that's the doorbell. 2 seconds.